in your preparation to make sure that, I'm not going to have Stephon Gilmore run down there covering kickoffs and then the next play have to cover a vertical route. So there's going to be a good balance, but I've got enough experience with that I know which way we need to go with as the game progresses.
Is that the reason why DJ and Stephon are the starters at the return positions? I mean, is it experience? Is it toughness?
Well, those two positions are, you can play great on defense, and if you don't catch the football, it makes no sense. I mean, you have to have an experienced, quality, good player back there. You look at a lot of the great football teams that are good in the kicking game, their returners or punt returners and kick returners are sometimes not only starters, they're their best players. So you have to, we're trying to win the football game every week when we line up, and while I've got to be smart with the personnel I use to not overuse them, I've also got to be smart to use the good players so that we play well out there. I mean, there's a reason guys are ones on offense and defense is because they're our best players. So we got to try to use them the best we can within reason.
I think a lot of folks at first glance just think that you need to put the fastest guy out there to return kicks, and things like that. But you're saying that you have a particular set of skills that you like to see as a returner.
Right, and quite frankly, DJ Swearinger, as far as my profile, my experience when I've had success, he fits that profile. Strong, physical, tough. Same thing with Stephon. When there's a punt returner, experienced, a gamer. You don't want to put a guy back as a punt returner that's never caught a punt in a game. It's hard. It's eventually you got to do that, but I'd like him to play, that person to play a little more in the stadiums before we put him out in the pro stadium to catch a punt.
You decided on a punter yet, John?
Yeah, Joey Scribner Howard and Fish are our punters, but Joey will get the first one.
Consistency.
Thank you.
That's the biggest difference.
Really,
leg strength.
Leg strength probably, and operation time were the biggest things. But, so
what's your operation time target?
We're trying to get the ball off in under 2 seconds. If we can do that, sure.
What do you feel has been the biggest improvement you've been able to make with the special teams since day one?
I don't know.
I've heard like Antonio Allen say character and fundamentals. So I'm just trying to go with something.
I think we've emphasized fundamentals a lot. We haven't emphasized scheme a whole bunch. We're not going to be overly creative. We're not going to be overly boring, but we're going to be fundamental. Our guys are going to know who they're supposed to block, and they're going to know how to do it, and they're going to be held accountable to do it that way. I mean, some of the biggest problems we've had in the return games here have nothing to do with scheme. It has to do with the kids being held accountable to make sure if you're supposed to block that guy, you block him. So we worked a whole lot on that in our last 25 practices, and that's what I want to see. I want to, I want to see the guys do this live and get in here on Sunday after the game and be able to now really coach. Say, all right, this is what we've been practicing on, and this is what you did do or you didn't do, and then that's how you build your team, because the proof is in the pudding, in good and bad. And if they're executing and their fundamentals, our schemes will work.
So you feel like you're starting to be able to emphasize your scheme a little bit now?
Yeah, but I have been emphasized, but it's the importance of the fundamentals. That's what it all falls back on.
So you feel like the players are getting there, though?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like they are, but it's like anything else. When you go into a game, I've got faith that I think they know where we're headed and they know what I want them to do. But until that ball kicks off that first rep and one guy gets his face crossed or one guy, misses an assignment and they hit us, at the 20-yard line, and all right, here we go. This is the real stuff now. So I'd love to say on the first one we're going to run down there and pick everybody up and block everybody, and DJ's going to go hit his head on the goalpost, but that's not going to happen. I mean, it may happen, it may not, but somebody's going to, those guys move too. Those guys are being coached over there too to beat those blocks and beat those techniques. And so once you get game footage, that's how you can coach off of it, because now it's, not in practice anymore, it's in the game.
Did you bring a lot of that down with that? Did you bring a lot of that down with you from Minnesota when you were coaching up there?
Well, I mean, it's the same way I've coached my last 8 years, really, as I've developed. My first 4 years, I was kind of new doing special teams. My last 8 years, I've really emphasized fundamentals and just really emphasized how to teach kids how to play in space, to tackle in space, to cover kicks in space, to protect in space. It's the hardest thing you can do. I mean, this is the only plays in the game where they use the entire field on every time they play is in the special teams.
You said, like, we're talking to a few of the D-backs, you sort of help them with some reads and zone blitzes and stuff like that. Is that something you sort of work on with them, just help them maybe build the fundamentals for special teams too?
I mean, defensively, there's obviously defensive carryover there, not necessarily specific to whatever defense, but I work with I'm working with the offense and the defensive players. So you're trying to teach the offensive players how to tackle, which they don't do a whole lot. And you're trying to teach the defensive players how to block, which they don't do a whole lot of, so. that's a unique thing.
Coach, how comfortable has DeMario been? I know he's, I guess, sliding back to Spur this week. Was that a natural?
I think that's exactly. I think he's a natural. I think he did it last year and did it well. And today's practice, he did a nice job. I think he's going to play well. In what we ask him to do, I think he'll do fine.
Would we expect to see, I guess, both those guys on the field a lot, both
yes.
Spurs?
I don't know about a lot, but they'll definitely be able to field together in the game sometime. I mean, DeMario may be playing some will when that happens, but this game is going to be a game of spacing, so we need to get our best athletes on the field.
Is there a third Spur right now, or is it kind of? I know Devontae's
there
obviously
really
out.
Technically isn't. I guess you would say. We could manufacture one, but right now it's those two guys.
And I know you said DJ would get the first kick return. Are there any other guys, a Bruce or a Demir, that would get an early look? Or
I think there's a good chance that you see Bruce Ellington back there.